Hello, welcome to the IU Northwest Community Garden presentation titled Eating to Improve Your Immunity. My name is Leslie Kaiser, Garden Coordinator, and I'll be serving as a moderator for this presentation. Kimberly Davis is our presenter. Kimberly comes to you today from Purdue Extension, where she has worked for the past 8 years. She teaches in the community a basic curriculum, Eating Smart and Moving More, to adults who mostly have limited resources. Kim loves knowing that her work can make a big difference in educating those who need more nutritional information to make better, well-informed choices in their health. Kimberly completed her undergraduate work at Purdue University and received a Bachelor of Arts in Behavioral Sciences. After working in the social work field at a child advocacy center, she earned her master's degree in social work from Indiana University Northwest. On a personal level, Kim loves her husband of almost 41 years, 3 grown children and families, and 4 grandchildren. She's passionate about cooking and baking, and especially learning ways to better understand nutrition and keeping herself and loved ones healthy. She enjoys baking so much that for 7 years, she was the from-scratch pie maker at Shoop's Restaurants in Valparaiso and Michigan City. She loves to garden and enjoys preserving food by canning and freezing. She's been known to make homemade bread from wheat berries. She also enjoys picking fresh fruit this time of year and freezing it for the cooler months.
That was a really nice introduction. Thank you so much. Well, I'd just like to welcome everyone and thank Amanda and Leslie so much for their support and their helping me out with this technology. This is not my forte, but hey, I'm learning because we're all in a different place than we were this time last year. I had the opportunity of getting to come and speak last year for the Garden Club, and I enjoyed it tremendously, and I've been looking forward to sharing with you today. So just to get started, what I thought we would do, since we're talking about eating to improve our immunity, which is so really important to us right now in this day and time with the COVID situation. We want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to keep our own bodies healthy, and so that we have that better opportunity to fight off things. So what I wanted to do is share with you, first of all, that in our program we have most all of our things modeled after what we call My Plate. And what this is the USDA's way of helping us as Americans to eat better, well-balanced diets. I think most people would agree that we as Americans have a little bit of a hard time with this. Not all Americans, of course, but many for sure. So the basics of this are just dividing your plate in half, and one whole half of your plate we try to think about filling with fruits and vegetables, and the other half with grains and protein, and saving some room for dairy. Because so many of the nutrients that we find in our food are contained in this fruits and vegetables section, and because that's really our focus today, this is the area that I'd like to focus on, even though we will be talking about some of the other things. So if that's okay with you, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my slideshow. So we want to think about, first of all, remembering the ABCs of the fruits and vegetables that we choose. Those things are eating our fruits and vegetables are great ideas to try to implement for our meals, but also our snacks. And we want to make sure we're eating a variety of colors, because the colors are what are most important in finding a good variety of nutrients. Another thing that like I showed you on the plate, is trying to make sure that we get half of our plate with fruits and vegetables. That's hard for a lot of Americans, and sometimes it's why we end up accumulating too many calories and too much fat, because we're eating things in the other side more than the fruits and vegetables. So those are all really interesting things to think about. Another thing is we want to make sure that we're focusing on some colors in the fruits and vegetables, and I'll be talking about that a few more times, but some of the objectives we might want to think about are that we want to have the deep green ones, and then also the red and also the orange or yellow, just because of their large amount of nutrition, okay? So there are lots of different things that we can choose and lots of different varieties. So those are things that we want to be sure to remember. Calories are abundant in some of the other areas, but not so much in this vegetable and fruit area. Fruits and vegetables are really great sources of vitamin A, vitamin C, folic acid, potassium, and fiber. And all those things for various reasons are really important. Did you know that actually many of our fruits and vegetables help us to reduce the risk of some cancers, heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and high blood pressure? All things that are vitally important for us as Americans, because those are some of the top areas where we struggle health-wise. One thing about our fruits and vegetables that we want to remember, like I just said, they are lower in fat, lower in calories, and they just help us with overall good health and also healthy weight. Very important as well. Not too many of us don't struggle with that to some degree. So here are just some things that we want to also remember, that we can find that we're going to have a healthy heart, healthy vision, strong bones and teeth, lower our risk in some cancers, and have healthier weight. So we want to be sure to remember to mix the colors and make sure we're keeping ourselves with a nice low-fat diet. A couple things I just wanted to highlight are some of the lower risks in cancers are prostate cancer. They found great significance in knowing that that's something that can be reduced. Also, colon cancer, prostate cancer, lung cancer, and breast cancer. The American Cancer Society gives us some good guidelines on all of those, and you can find them. They have a good website, and it's just under cancer.org, www.cancer.org, okay? So the next slide we're going to go to is going to help to just remind us that those vegetables and fruits are, again, low in calories, high in fiber, and helps us to have a sense of fullness, okay? We want to be sure to eat the colors, and you can see that the colors are sort of in the shape of a rainbow, because making sure we're getting all of those colors is really important. When we eat only the one color that is like our most favorite, then we might be only getting one particular nutrient and not getting a good variety of those. And again, this is just a reminder of all of the colors. There are some good ideas of some of those in case you're not sure what things I'm talking about. I think this is a good slide with, just some good ideas and all of that. So red can be really important for minerals and fiber. Red fruits and vegetables have something called lycopene, and many important phytochemicals as well. They act as antioxidants, and lycopene that's found in foods can be made you found that in red tomatoes, cooked tomatoes. They are absorbed the best in that way. Lycopene might also reduce the risk of prostate cancer, and also help our cells from any damage that they might experience from heart health. So I think that's really good information to keep in hand. Then we want to think about yellow and orange vegetables. Yellow and orange vegetables, we can find abundant amounts of vitamin A in orange vegetables. Sweet potatoes are absolutely off the chart. Like one whole sweet potato, you're going to probably find about 600% of what you need in vitamin A in a day. Carrots also are just very, very high. But they're going to pack a powerful punch. Pumpkins, they're also they're not pictured there, but it's also very important as well. But vitamin A is important for our good health of our eyes, and also increasing our immune system, which is so much what we want to talk about today. We also can reduce, again, that risk of high amounts of cancer and heart disease. We have citrus fruits that we're also going to find in this group, and oranges, and it's very, very important. We can also find some folic acid and folate. These nutrients are especially helpful for women who are pregnant or thinking of moving into that stage of life. Folate helps to reduce the risk of birth defects and neuro tube defects such as spina bifida. And so then we want to think about the green, color green. I brought some kale with me today, which I'm going to talk about in a few minutes in a recipe that I want to share. But these green, dark green things have just so much nutrition in them. We want to think about collard greens, kiwi, grapes, green beans, broccoli, just to name a few. Broccoli has loaded with vitamin C, another really great place for us to find good immunity enriching for our bodies. But we're also going to find some good potassium. Potassium is important to help our bodies to regulate blood pressure and help lower blood pressure for some people. Foods high in potassium, like the green vegetables I mentioned, may actually help reduce bone loss. So these are also important immunity increasing types of things. So something I kind of wanted to talk about just for a minute though are these dark green leafy greens such as kale, collard greens, mustard greens, and spinach. They are powerhouses of nutrition. They include vitamins like A, C, E, and K, and folate, as well as many minerals such as iron, magnesium, potassium, and calcium. So this is a really, really important part of this whole program, is just remembering any way that you can find ways to get this type of vegetable into your day is vitally important. So those dark leafy greens are significant in antioxidants. They will help protect our cells and help reduce our risk of cancer as well. Additionally, the dark leafy greens are high in fiber, low in calories again, and are also ideal food to help us achieve and maintain our healthy weight and reduce the risk of diabetes. So whenever we're able to put those two things together, we are moving way ahead. There are many ways that we can include these into family meals. A couple of ways that I enjoy doing them are putting them in smoothies. Of course, salads. I know many people, when I ask, do you like spinach? A lot of people turn their nose up and immediately tell me absolutely not. But then I say, do you like salad? And they're okay with that. But so then I usually suggest, why don't you put some raw or fresh spinach in your salad, and you're going to be getting a lot of additional nutrition and probably not even realize much difference. But we could use these as condiments in wraps, or we could even add them to burgers or sandwiches. We can add them to soups, stews, egg dishes, some nice yummy omelets or something like that in the morning, and also some stir-fry dishes, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. Steaming them or eating them fresh is totally fine. Be sure to include these in your meal plans for the week as often and as much as you possibly can. And so then we're going to move on to the blue color, blue and purple. Now, I had an opportunity this week. I had some grandchildren who were visiting over the 4th of July, and while they were here, we had an opportunity to go and pick some blueberries. Matter of fact, I have some blueberries here with me. The blueberries are absolutely beautiful this year. Not only is picking fruit a wonderful thing to help to expand that into the wintertime, but it's also a great family activity. And actually this year it's a great social distancing activity as well. So blue and purple fruits and vegetables may provide us with protection from cancer again, and also can promote a heart healthy food. But here's another one about blueberries and maybe others as well, is there is some significant studies about the importance of memory and how blueberries can play a good role in that. So some of the blue and purple fruits that we might want to look into are, again, blueberries, blackberries, eggplant, plums, and red cabbage. So again, the colors that are more vibrant are something we want to think about. So maybe you can think about some of the blue and purple fruits and vegetables that you are able to implement into your life on a regular basis. The USDA ranked blueberries as one of the top in that class of antioxidant activity. So that for our brain cells and any damage that might have occurred, we can also find that that's very important for certain cancers, infections, and again, memory loss. So these are important nutrients for us to enjoy. So we definitely want to make sure that we're choosing more fruits and vegetables, and this is just a really great reminder of that. So then I want to talk about those white fruits and vegetables, and some examples of those, like you can see on the pictures, are onions and cauliflower, potatoes, mushrooms. They're all part of this color range. They provide also healthy nutrition. They are going to give us a good amount of potassium. They also can help maintain normal heart rhythm, help keep our fluids balanced, and also keep our muscles and our nerves in a healthy functioning order. Sometimes we forget about this group of white vegetables and fruits. So I want to switch just a little bit and just a reminder on our plate that beans and peas and this group of foods called legumes are vitally important for many, many reasons. But we can have cooked dry beans and peas. They can be either frozen or canned and dry as well. But did you know they're considered vegetables? So many people that have a difficult time getting enough of their vegetables in a day can also think about these if they like them a little better. So beans and peas, the dried form that I'm talking about, can actually provide us with a good amount of protein, iron, and also zinc. Similar amounts that we can have can actually work as a meat substitute, or if you are interested in eating more plant-based and also getting your protein in that way. So we're going to be able to find things like fiber, folate, and potassium also, just similar to vegetables. But beans and peas are power-packed because they have also these other key nutrients. They are a very good thing for us, helping to build a healthy plate. So these are not only can we count them as a vegetable, we can count them as a protein, but we can also count them as a complex carbohydrate. So in the grain section of my plate, I really like to encourage people to remember, because they also can fall in that category. Okay. And so the next slide, we're going to talk about choosing that variety of vegetables in all colors. Like I was talking about at the very beginning, these are the real focus areas that we want to remember for immunity, especially. Those dark green ones, the bright red ones, and the orange. They're all superfoods as far as, we are concerned, because you can just think of so many ways to use them as well. So try to think about ways that you can get more of these foods and implement them into your family's meals as well, okay? So how many fruits and vegetables, you might ask, should I eat in a day? Here's a really good graph that can show you how that would work. So for most adults, you want to be getting about 2 to 2.5 cups of vegetables and about 2 cups of fruits. And this time of year, with so many of the berries and peaches and things that are all coming ripe, it's easy really to get your 2 cups of vegetables. So enjoy them because they're really wonderful for us. So here's another just little way to remind, and I like that this has the reminder of the Choose My Plate. That's also a great website, choosemyplate.gov. If you have an opportunity to go in there, it's a very interactive website and it can give you a lot of great tips on how to make sure that you're getting the nutrition that you need every day from the USDA. So we want to think about a goal of eating vegetables approximately 2.5 cups every day. There are good ways to measure those, and we'll talk about those in just a little bit more in just a minute. So here we are. 1 cup of a raw or cooked vegetable is about the size of your fist, if you want to think about it that way. But 2 cups of raw or leafy greens is actually equaling 1 cup, because by the time it cooks down, then the measurement changes just a little. Okay. So here are some ways that you can think about trying to implement getting more of the vegetables and fruits into your day, and maybe just not even realizing it. I find personally that if I don't get like a large salad at either lunch or dinner, it's difficult for me to get my 2.5 cups of vegetables in. But here's some great ideas, and maybe those are helpful for you. So again, just a reminder about the fruits. We want to try to get 2 cups. Here are some good measurement thoughts. A fist size of a piece of fruit, we normally think about 1 apple, 1 banana, 1 orange, 1 peach. But 1 cup of fruit pieces, fresh or canned or frozen, are a cup, and then a 1/2 cup of dried fruit, because dried fruit is way condensed, but you're also going to get a good amount of sugar with that as well, so caution if you happen to be a diabetic. And then 8 ounces of 100% fruit juice is also 1 serving. Okay. So what equals a cup of fruit? These are all things we pretty much just talked about, but this is just a little bit more of a visual description of that. Again, here are some good ideas on how you can add the fruits to your everyday life, and that's helpful. Adding a banana or a piece of fruit to breakfast, making sure you get it, and just as you can see there. So here's something that we want to talk about a little bit. Limit how much fruit juice you and your family drink. Fruit juice, so many people realize that it's a good way to get some fruit in a condensed way, but we have to be really careful because we can accumulate a lot of sugar in something that a lot of people also want to drink too much, and then it causes other problems. So the first thing we want to make sure that we're doing is getting 100% fruit juice when we look at that. You can actually get as much sugar from drinking juice as you would from a soft drink. So that's the reason that we need to be cautious. We have to limit that. This is especially true for children, and children a lot of parents want to give their children juice all day, and that can be problematic because then it can cause other problems like tooth decay and children just getting accustomed to having too much sugar. So this can also lead to children being overweight or underweight, because they might actually be consuming too much that then they don't want to eat other nutrients during the day. It can cause diarrhea or stomach upset, and of course tooth decay like I just mentioned. So here's something that we want to think about. Which of these choices here would you choose if you were looking for 100% juice? Some of these marketers can make it a little difficult to be able to tell from looking at their containers, all right? So take a look at that for just a minute, and here we go. So here's the only one that we're going to notice is that 100% orange juice right in the middle. A lot of people are really sure that the splash is also, and while it does have a lot of nutrition in it, it is not 100% juice. So these the others, there will be lots more sugar in it, and you might even find added sweeteners. And research has shown that the consumption of sugary beverages is actually a major contributor to overweight and obesity. So that's something that we want to be careful about. So some other suggestions that you might want to use, especially for little people, are making sure they're getting plenty of water and milk and serving small amount of juice. Just for flavor, or you could mix a little in with water so that you could dilute the juice to where it isn't quite so sweet. So how much juice should you and your family have? Here are some good guidelines to follow. Quite easy. One other thing that I like to add, because I work with a lot of people who have diabetes, if you have diabetes, it's really not a good idea to even drink juice, because that causes your blood sugar to go up real quickly. So actually for adults, it's much better for us to get our juice portion, if that's the way you'd like to have it, choose a whole fruit, because then you're also going to be getting the good fiber and the chewing sensation. We like that sensation of being able to chew things. It's very satisfying. So we want to be careful that we're not getting too much, so we don't have that problem with tooth decay and other things. Okay, so choose whole or cut up fruit. This is just another reminder that calories that we can find in each one of these foods, and you'll see that the really large amounts are the fruit juice and the cola. So when we're buying fruit, there are lots of ways that we can enjoy it, and of course we all like to be able to get fresh fruit, but there are times when the fresh fruit isn't as available. So canned fruit is always a good option, but we want to make sure that we find the canned fruit that is in water or juice. Many people that I work with, the canned fruit is easier for them to transport, and they can have it then, and it doesn't spoil so quickly. They're able to keep it longer. Also, frozen fruit is a great option, and most of the frozen fruit is frozen at a good time when the fruit is just exactly the way it needs to be, and it's just stopped. And you want to be sure to buy it without the sugar or the syrup. Okay. So food safety and fruits and vegetables, we want to make sure that we're washing them. But we have to be careful that, we don't want to put things like bleach or soap is definitely not recommended for our, to remove dirt from our vegetables and fruits. So just rubbing it, if you happen to have a vegetable brush or something like that, or even just your hands under clean running water is sufficient. So again, here are great ways that you can buy and attain your fresh, frozen, or canned, get your vegetables in lots of different varieties. I work with a lot of senior citizens as well, and I find that the canned and the frozen vegetables and fruits sometimes are, the consistency is a little easier for them for chewing, especially the canned fruits and vegetables. They're not quite as crunchy as, an apple or something like that. So it all just depends on what your situation is. So we can buy fruits and vegetables in the grocery store, of course, most of the time, but we should always remember that we want to use the open markets whenever available, because especially when they're in season like right now, you'll get good healthy benefits, and it's nice to buy things local. I like to be able to do that. So, and I know that because of this being a garden club, many of us enjoy being able to raise our own fruits and vegetables this time of year. I've tried to garden with a few new things this year, and I'm just enjoying that tremendously. So hopefully you are as well. Hopefully you are as well. So here are some ways that we can think about being able to choose more fruits and vegetables in a day. So some ideas would be to keep a fruit bowl on the counter or in the center of your table. Make fruit smoothies or quick breakfast ideas. I like to sometimes just mix it in with yogurt. You can always top your baked potatoes with salsa. And keeping your baby carrots or your ready to eat vegetables on hand. Kids often prefer raw vegetables if they can hold them. And little things that you can sometimes just give them, they wouldn't even think about. Take some zucchini and cut it, and take some peel off, and even for yourself, it's a great way to get a good colorful snack in the mid-afternoon or even in the evening, okay? So just a quick touch up on checking our refrigerator temperature. It's always a good idea to remember that it needs to be between 38 and 40 degrees Fahrenheit. If you aren't sure, having a thermometer to check is always a good idea. It's not a good idea to always wash your fruits and vegetables before you put them away. I have found so many times that washing them will cause them to get soggy, and then they tend to mold quicker. So wait until you're ready to use them and then wash them. Strawberries especially. We picked strawberries this week also with the blueberries. And I know a lot of people wash them ahead of time, but then they get soggy and they mold quickly. So another little tidbit of information that I picked up this week is to remember to store, or just a reminder, to store your vegetables like potatoes and onions and winter squash in a cool, dry, and dark place, because if you put them in the refrigerator, it changes the composition of them. Did you know that if you put your potatoes in the refrigerator, it actually causes the starch to turn to sugar quicker? So that to me was a really interesting thing that I brushed up on. So here are some other ways that we can think about trying to remember to get more fruits and vegetables into our bodies so that we can increase our immunity for sure. Add corn, peas, sweet potatoes, beans to soups and stews. I love making those types of things. I miss them sometimes in the summer. Top sandwiches with lettuce and tomato and other vegetables. Add bananas or berries to your cereal or yogurt. Peppers and onions and other vegetables to spaghetti sauce. Keep frozen vegetables in the microwave and add to any meal. So what are some other ideas that you would have for adding fruits or vegetables for your meal at home? That would be an interesting thing for me to know. So I think at this point, we're just going to talk real quick about the option of using a stir fry to be able to use plenty of vegetables and to increase your vegetables, especially if you haven't been able to get as much earlier in the day. And this is actually a picture of the recipe that we're going to talk about in just a little bit here. Let me just check one more thing. We're getting close. Okay, so another way that we can make sure we're getting more vegetables would be ordering pizza with vegetables instead of meat, choosing a salad or vegetable soup, substitute vegetables for fries. I know that doesn't sound quite as fun some days, but it works. Start at the salad bar. We're not having salad bars out and about right now, but we could always do that at home. Choose fruits and vegetables for quick snacks. And just making small substitutions can make a big difference in our consumption of those. So what one change will you make to increase the fruits and vegetables in you and your family's meals? So it takes a couple questions if we have any.
Okay, Latrice has a question. Nutritionally, which is better, frozen, canned, or dried?
Okay, so I think that always we're going to find that our fresh, our fresh fruits and vegetables are probably going to be slightly nutritionally better, but the statistics and when you read on everything, they're really pretty close. So because my program, I typically always work with folks with limited resources. I really don't. I don't make a lot of a variation of difference in that, because I definitely don't want somebody thinking that they can't eat frozen vegetables or canned vegetables, because they're not as nutritious. So so many of us have learned that the canned vegetables have some extra sodium in them. So if we just rinse them with cold water, believe it or not, it reduces the sodium by about 40%. But the good thing about canned vegetables is we can keep them almost indefinitely. And so that's a really great, process that our grandmothers and, generations before us devised.
Latrice has a follow-up question.
Uh-huh.
Should we aim to get all colors in every day?
I think that's a great goal. I think that's a great goal. I don't know if it's always attainable, just because of, when you want to buy vegetables, you want to know that you're going to be able to use them, within the next week or week and a half, just because you can't keep them. But absolutely a great goal.
For preserving the veggies from your garden, which way is the best to preserve?
I personally can my vegetables, and I think that it probably preserves the nutrients better. My husband, his family always canned, and he actually likes them just better that way than frozen. But that's a personal preference. My mom always froze a lot of vegetables, and I don't think there's any difference in their nutrition. Just what your personal preference is.
Is the way you cook your vegetables impact the nutrition that you get from them?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We definitely want to be careful to not overcook things. And the closer that it is to its natural form, the higher amount of nutrition we're going to find. A lot of people tend to boil and cook things to a significant amount, and then they dump water down the sink. Well, we're losing so much nutrition when we do that. So things like carrots, and so if we could stir fry them or steam them, of course, we're going to be able to keep more of the nutrition in those vegetables to, of course, come into our body, which is where we want them to be, not down the sink.
Latrice has another follow-up question.
Uh-huh.
Greens in smoothies, does that eliminate the fiber?
No. It's just very good there, and that's a perfect way. Matter of fact, I have an adult daughter who has a disability, and she's not real cooperative about eating a lot of vegetables for me, and so I hide things in her smoothie because she's pretty cooperative with that, and she never even knows they're there, and I know they're, she's getting them in her body. So, but no, they're definitely not going to lose anything. I share that with you because I have another daughter who really has some sensory kind of stuff, and I wish I would have understood that when she was younger. But there are so many really great ways that you can do that. Chopping up things really small, like carrots, or even shredding them and mixing it. Okay, so if you can shred them up really small, they'll cook really tender and soft, to where he probably won't even know. Meatloaf is another great place to do something like that. Peppers and I don't know, potatoes. I don't know what other kinds of things, but I would go with those things that are colorful, because you want to get the most for your buck. So like these nice carrots that will shred up really small, and peppers and greens. Just, do things like that. Sauces, I don't know if he will do like spaghettis or anything like that. So you can, shred up extra vegetables in with the tomato sauce. If you make it, then that's much easier. If you buy it, even if you buy it, you can still serve, go ahead and just add those things and just let it simmer to where they have a chance to cook down really well and get nice and soft. My daughter, who actually is the one who doesn't like things, bought me a book one time, and it was about, it was full of recipes on how to hide things. And one of the things was black beans in brownies. What do you think about that? So I don't remember the name of that book, but maybe you could search around a little. And I've seen that hilarious. Here is the girl who doesn't want to eat all these things, but she's giving me a cookbook to hide things because she knows that she needs to eat them, but just has a difficult time with it. So there are a lot of really great ideas that you can, do that. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen now and find the recipe. We're going to talk about a recipe here, okay? All right, so pretty much this is just an overview of some ways that you can make a super stir fry in order to be able to get more of those fruits and vegetables, or more of the vegetables in every day. If you've had one of those days when it's especially been, like not so good, then you can maybe try something like this for dinner. So the top category, I know it's kind of small, so I apologize. We'll make sure that you can have a copy of this. We'll send it out to you. Choose 5 vegetables. So there are several vegetables that are here that you can choose from, but you don't have to keep it to that. You can choose any 5 that you might have. So today I'm thinking about maybe using an onion, all right? We were talking about kale earlier, so I have some nice pretty kale here. This is one that I think would cook up in this really, really well. Some other things that I might use might be peppers, any kind of peppers that you have. And then some nice pretty carrots, and we talked about all of the good nutrition that we're going to find in these nice orange and also green vegetables. So we want to be sure to get those in especially. So I think that's 4 of them. I also have some Brussels sprouts that I happen to have at home. So I think Brussels sprouts might be a good thing that we can chop up and put in there too. And that'll give us some other good fiber and things like that. So then there is the next step has about 4 different choices for a good starch. So I typically try to pick things that are whole grains. So one thing that I might use might be whole grain spaghetti. Depending on who you're feeding with this, that might determine what you want to use for it. But a couple of other suggestions here are brown rice, white rice, whole wheat spaghetti noodles, or rice noodles. I also have some basmati rice medley that has some different types of rice in there. So that's always another option that you can do. So then you probably want to have a little bit of oil. Probably I just have like some Smart Balance that is a vegetable oil blend. Sometimes people forget that olive oil, while olive oil is a good thing to use it's a heart healthy fat, but if we're going to be cooking on high temperature for a little bit, olive oil is not our best choice. Olive oil is more of a salad oil and it will burn easily, so you want to use something that is going to be a little better with warmer temperatures. So I would recommend that, and it suggests that on the recipe as well. So you want to wash these vegetables, cut them up into small, evenly sized pieces. You can even cut them up like the evening before and just put them in a container in the refrigerator so it's all ready. Then there's this stir fry sauce that you can make also ahead of time. A couple of the items that you might use for that would be some sugar-free not sugar-free, sodium-free beef bouillon. I just have regular bouillon, so that's what I would use. Apple cider, you can use any kind of apple cider that you have. If you don't have apple cider, you can just apple cider vinegar. You can use any other kind of vinegar. There's white vinegar and also like a red wine vinegar. Anything will work fine. That would probably be the best in this. Dark molasses, something you could do if you you have that around. If you don't, you could use a little honey if you wanted. A little bit of ground ginger, pretty easy. You know, I just have some ground dried ginger here. You probably want to have a little black pepper, some garlic powder, some water, and some cornstarch. All of the increments are on the recipe for you. So all of these things you basically just cook into a small saucepan, let it boil, come to a gentle boil. So in just a few minutes, it'll thicken up, and then you might want to just put it in a container, keep a lid on it until you're ready to use it. And pre-prepping things make life a little easier if you're coming in from a busy day or whatever, and then you can put it all together. But you could use something like an electric skillet or something like that. You don't have to use a wok. If you have a wok, that's fine. If you want to just use a regular fry pan that you can put on top of the stove, that's okay too. Whatever works for you is great. And I think this is something that you probably could enjoy because it's very versatile. And if there are vegetables that I suggested that are not something you care for, substitute. Put green beans in instead of kale, or different kind of greens if you prefer, I don't know, collard greens to the kale or whatever. So any of those things are definitely options. So I think that that's probably what I wanted to tell you about the recipe, okay? So just as a small side note at the bottom, you'll see that we have a Move More idea of having a family parade, or just going for an evening walk is even fine. We want to be sure to try to remember, especially in these stressful times we're living in, just some sort of physical exercise and activity is vitally important, especially for our emotional health every day. So I don't know about you all, but it makes a big difference for me when I do and when I don't. So it was lovely. It was my pleasure to be here with you today.